The concept of focusing on the lower end of the range, whether that be an HPMR, whether that be the V-score. The V-score is the one that we've been talking most about. In fact, you'll remember earlier this week, this concept of a bullish bias or a buy-side bias when we reach the lower end of the range was something that I said we need to start to adopt. We're in an asset bubble, and this is the way asset bubbles tend to move. Then we get Thursday's sell-off. Gang, Thursday's sell-off was a bit of a reality check. Thursday's sell-off is something that a lot of longtime bears who did not ditch their bearishness said, see, I told you. This was just a correction, gang. You've got a lot of double green uptrends in this market that just retraced. And the $64,000 question is always, is this a retracement or a reversal? In a double green market, the probabilities are, again, this is a double green. Now, what does that mean? That means that the 8 is above the 13, the 13 is above the 21. Okay? And then all three of these are above the 34 EMA wave, the 34 EMA high, close, and low. So the thing about this, regardless of the asset bubble stock, as in the asset class, the asset bubble is clearly being pumped up by the Federal Reserve and many other things. I don't care about the why at this point. It is an asset class bubble. So I don't think it's over. Yeah, we had a big pullback, but today we didn't see another dump today. We saw lower lows, as we had talked about in the premium video for members, but we did not see a big dump today. I'd like to see maybe an inside day on Monday. That will be nice, contracted implied volatility that will allow me to buy calls in the S&P, allow me to buy calls in the Dow and the NAS, and then their related sectors, IYT, XLC, XLV, right? A lot of those double green sectors on a nice contracting implied volatility day on Monday. So I'd like to buy the calls on those retracements. But, specific to the day trades, if you focused on the lower end of the range for buys, let me pull up the NASDAQ. If you focused on the lower end of the range for buys, again, kind of focusing on, okay, this is an asset class bubble. Lower lows are probably going to invite traders to want to buy, and even sell-offs aren't going to really shake them loose of this uptrend. I don't think they are. So you look at the low here. This is the V-score. This is a volume-weighted average price standard deviation tool, not price, volume prioritized. 1, 2, after the bell, 3. That's a good zone to think about long. So you might say, what about the latter part of the day? I would have liked to have seen it drop back down into this orange zone. But let me remind you this. As you move down into the lower part of the range, you don't want to be shorting. You don't want to be shorting. So what could you do at the upper part of the range? Well, the upper part of the range is resistance. What do we typically like to do at resistance? Short. The bottom part of the range, what do we like to do at support? We typically like to buy. So if I'm using this indicator with those same guidelines, I think overall there was a little something for everybody in this market. I think a lot of traders would call this a trader's market. In other words, those of you that like to be buyers, you got some opportunity. Those of you that like to be sellers, and meaning traders that like to trade with bias, directional bias, as I do, everyone had a shot today. It was actually pretty great. And then this kind of market is terrific for those traders. This is not always great for all traders, but right now, today specifically, this market was great for traders that like to short and get long. It kind of went both sides of the range. I don't like to do that. Some traders do. I think that's a bit of a superpower. The traders that can sort of shift from bullish to bearish. I feel that mental transmission for most people does not shift that smoothly. But if you're one of them, knock on wood, you've got a gift. I don't find that's something that most people do easily. But this kind of movement is very good for traders intraday. Everybody got something. So don't worry about it if you didn't short. And don't worry about it if you didn't get long. I think everyone had an opportunity to take a little something out of this market. But I'm still going to operate going forward and into next week with that bias. So stay tuned. We'll definitely recap more of that as I talk about these lower end of the range opportunities going into next week.